You're listening to the RMPodcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian,
and
Keith Cheatham.
Hopefully, guys, there's no lip sync issues this week.
Can you hear what I
mean, it's
said?
always...
Can you see my mouth move with the
I
words?
honestly debated on whether or not we should just start the show mouthing with no sound.
Yeah.
And so that way it wouldn't matter if we had lip sync issues. We just wouldn't have sound.
Our viewers are so Johnny on the spot that I'm sure we would get a message that says, "Hey, you need to fix this."
Probably.
Fix your crap, man.
And I ain't gonna lie, I'm kind of glad our viewers are there. They're watching.
They care.
They're our technical support.
Yeah.
Okay. So we need you all.
IT.
So again, reply in the comments if you see some lip sync issues. Well, there's probably not a lot we can do about it.
That's right.
As you found out from last week. But we'll keep investigating.
We'll try our best.
As we do every week here on the Red Moon Podcast. How's everybody doing this week?
Doing good.
Doing good?
Doing good.
Nothing crazy going on?
No.
Keep looking at us like...
Got a rash.
What?
No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, man.
No, you thought it was
you
going
had
to be a good story.
I wanted to hear. Yeah, we want to see visuals here on the Red Moon Podcast.
I always want to see visuals.
It's not safe for work.
Oh.
Says who?
Work.
This is a different kind of work on this show.
That's true.
So we really don't mind.
No.
Well, we've got our story time segment coming up this week.
Do we?
That'll be fun.
Yeah, I think it will be because we came up with it as we always do about 2 minutes before the show
That's
started.
how we work best.
Yeah, it is.
All of our Tinseltown trivias are literally, we come up with that about
just before.
About 20 minutes after we finish doing the show.
Yep.
Like, it's just like, all right, what are we going to do?
It
It's
still
how
takes
we do.
It takes a while to
to
get it all
produce
together.
it, but
Yeah.
I mean, we do come up with them, Johnny, on the spot.
That's right.
Where'd that term come
Creative
from?
minds up in here.
That's right.
Creative.
Minds.
All right, guys. We got our story time segment revolving around stupid things that we've done in the past.
Has it?
That resulted
that
in injuries.
inflicted
Right.
injury upon
So,
us.
so our friend Neil in Boston would definitely have a story to tell.
Yeah.
So,
Ooh,
in
do
fact,
we-
maybe I'll share his story.
I was going to say, maybe
Might
you
share it.
should because that,
share it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. He would
He's
probably
not
want
here.
you to.
Yeah, we can
To
do
share
that.
it for him.
Yep.
But we've also got a great movie review that, once again, I have yet to see.
Yeah.
So,
well, when do you ever see?
You are missing
know,
out.
Gosh.
It's like with a cracked toilet tank and, home improvements
I thought you
abound.
were going somewhere else with that. You know,
Yeah.
with the crack and the heroin, and
Yeah.
I can't seem to find time to.
That's a different
Yeah.
He's
story.
not arguing that.
That's from story time.
That is self-inflicted. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like about the needle marks on my arms.
In between your toes.
In
But-
the eyelid.
What? Oh, yeah.
Corner. I think
you
it's actually. I think
serious?
it's actually the corner of their eye that they do it. Yeah. Because he doesn't leave a mark.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
It's so weird that they're more worried about covering it up than
Keith
what it does
knows
to you.
more about this kind of stuff
I
than
know it all.
anybody that I know.
I do it all.
I think he has like family members or something that
I think
do this.
I think he honestly just
because
does it
he
himself.
knows firsthand. You name a drug and Keith's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know,
I know
all about that.
I know how they do it.
I know how they do it.
Well, he's
They take
Well,
it
he worked at Bob
and they
Evans.
put it in their butt.
That's why.
whoa, suppository.
Oh,
Yeah, suppository
What?
crack.
What are we sticking
I mean,
up
they're
butt?
getting.
Cough syrup.
Oh, I've
Oh,
heard
butt
of that
chugging.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody's heard of that one.
Butt
Oh
chug.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
kind of old.
That did
That
come
is
and go.
old.
I'm just kidding.
You know the one I miss is reading the stories about the kids that were pooping in brown bags and like putting it under their beds and in the sun and stuff and then huffing it.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you didn't remember
Oh,
reading
I
about that?
do
To get half
remember
of
that.
that
Yeah,
or
to
something?
get.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
would poop in a brown bag and then they would like
I mean-
hide it for a while somewhere. Some of them would leave it in the sun or they would put it under.
Somebody felt my poop
Why did you have to hide it?
to
Well,
get to
I
let
mean,
it
if
harden.
you're
I
if you're a
guess.
teen at home, you don't want your parents to find a brown bag.
Full of crap.
Yeah, like you're like, could you imagine you're like mom or dad walking in your bedroom and cleaning your room and like finding a bag
It's
of
like, don't
shit?
touch that bag of poop right there. I want
right,
it there.
right.
They'd be like,
Well, and
"Sean?"
I guess you don't want to smell it.
So
while
why did they
it's-
put it under
you're
their
waiting
pillow?
on it?
Not under their pillow, under their bed.
I thought you said they put it under their
No,
No,
pillow.
under the bed.
Oh.
Yeah.
You gotta hide it, man.
But see, that's the thing. I wouldn't want to smell it while I'm waiting on it.
It's like you're not hiding your.
I would
your
want to
meth-
hide it
exactly.
somewhere where and then let it get hard, and then I'll huff.
Just put potpourri.
But hell,
around
I'd
it.
rather just go with gasoline.
Why would you? I
at
was
that
gonna say,
point.
why would
I
you
mean,
wanna-
yeah.
At least
I think
that
I'd do
smells.
Why are we
glue or
talking about how
spray
we
paint
would
or
huff?
something.
I would not huff poo anyway.
True.
It's
I
like if
would.
I were going to huff poo, I'd hide it in the attic.
I mean, we're just thinking best case scenario,
Yeah.
okay? If we were going to, I don't know, Keith. I've never looked at your eyes longingly.
Oh.
Maybe there are like, little needle holes I should be looking out for.
Little needle holes. Stick it right in the tear duct.
Maybe that's why he wears glasses. He's just hiding them from us.
Oh.
All right, guys. I think we should
You got
go
those
ahead.
heroin eyes. God. All right, yeah, let's go.
Yeah, we should continue with our show this week. We've got a great film review, like I was talking about. I do really want to see this one.
So speaking about people on drugs, Shia LaBeouf.
Well, he does tend to act like
I don't
it.
know if he ever has, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I wouldn't surprise. He definitely has.
But you know what? It's funny how some actors will go through these weird eccentric phases, and then they'll come out and have like this rebirth where they're like clean and have amazing.
I don't know if I'd
movies
call it a rebirth.
And well, I mean, not yet.
I mean, here's the thing. I
But-
would say a rebirth in terms of him making movies again. I mean, I wouldn't say a rebirth in him being normal.
Well, no,
I don't think he's. I think he's still
not
Shia LaBeouf.
not all of them become normal.
If you've
again. They
seen
just have
some of
good
his,
movies
if
again,
you've seen
but-
some of his more like recent interviews and stuff,
yeah,
he seems like he
he's
might
tame.
be coming back to reality
Yeah.
a little bit.
So
Yeah.
basically, we just have. I mean, it is the Britney Spears syndrome
yeah.
in Hollywood. It's like you shave off your hair or
Yeah.
your head. You shave your head,
It
cut off all
always,
your hair.
it's because with like it always is like a child actor, like someone who came from like Disney, poor
Yeah.
Disney.
Yeah.
They just ruin all their child actors, but they get out of that phase, like with him coming from Even Stevens, and then it's like they're like
Which
free,
was a great show.
and they don't have that that family image anymore, or they want to break away from that.
That's
family
the main
image.
thing. Yeah.
So they're like, well, I don't want to be seen as only a kid star, so then they do all this crazy crap.
yeah,
and a
Miley.
lot- but if you
Jeez.
I was gonna say Miley's
a
the
lot of
latest.
Harris,
But if
yeah.
you look at a lot of them too, a lot of them like seem to have like some like parental issues growing up too.
Well, of course. I mean, when you spend all
look
that time in the spotlight, and it's
Yeah.
like when you're. I mean, Macaulay Culkin's proof of like when
Macaulay
your kids
Culkin.
are
Well, I
trying
mean,
to,
look
or when
at-
your parents are trying to rob you of your bank
Well, I mean,
account.
Michael
Yeah.
they've
Jackson.
stocked
Look
up.
at. I mean, all of the Jackson.
it's almost
about
as
how
if
his dad treated them when they were the Jackson Five.
Yeah,
And,
some of these
you
parents just whore their kids out to
Yeah,
Hollywood.
Yes.
And it's just they use their children as this cash cow, and it's just like God.
But I mean, that's
they're your kids for
that's
God's sake.
basically the premise of Shia LaBeouf's next movie,
film,
Honey
yeah.
Boy, which looks actually
Right.
really good. So
Yeah.
But I will say, in terms of getting back, like you said, Sean, the most recent films he's been doing, much more not only serious in tone, but to showcase, I think, his
That he
acting
can
chops,
act.
which
Oh,
we
yeah.
already knew before.
Yeah.
I
There
mean,
was
but
once
instead
upon
of
a
using
time
it,
when
for
people like there was once upon a time when Shia LaBeouf was like that actor that people were
Absolutely.
looking. They were like, he could be the next big star. and
Yeah.
he
then-
really was.
And then
Yeah.
he did Transformers because they were still banking off of the fact that he was becoming a major blockbuster star. And
See,
then
like,
after Transformers,
we
it all just
talked
went
about
down.
it. Yeah, we talked about it in the parking lot. I was like, even in Transformers,
He wasn't bad.
he is good playing the part that he was given and the direction that he was given.
Yes.
But I mean, he
he
he's-
does well.
He
in
has
any
an urgency
performance.
and he has the comedic side of it. I mean,
Right.
Yeah, he's very
I
good.
would say, yeah, that the movies may not have been great, but they weren't Shia LaBeouf's fault. I mean, he was acting the way what he was given, and for what he was given, he did a good job.
But
Yeah.
I'm much more happy to see this side of Shia, where it's like, okay, not the crazy art exhibits where you got a plastic or a paper
We
bag
shall
on your
overcome.
head.
They will not
You know,
divide
yeah,
us.
That's
Yes,
they will not divide us. That's it. That's
exactly.
He will not
Exactly.
divide us.
That's
He
it.
will
That's
not
what it is.
divide us.
It's all Trump.
But it's like I'm happy to see him
Shia.
return to what he does best.
Yeah. LaBeouf.
He still has that tinge of crazy, as they all do still, but he's continuing to put out art
But, you know,
and put out films that
Some
are
of
worth
it
seeing.
is weird, but some of it also I think is he knows that it has that bizarre image and he wants that. 'Cause,
Right.
I mean, look at the one song Shia LaBeouf or whatever where they talk about like in the woods,
Yes.
and he was a part of that video. So it's like he knows he has that reputation
Yeah.
and he's okay
Yeah.
with it because otherwise he wouldn't have done that video.
Right.
Yeah.
But he knew like they were poking fun of like the eccentricity he has, and he's like, "Oh, I'm fine with that," because he wanted that
Yeah.
image. So
Yeah. And I'm
Yeah.
more power to him because it seems to be, it's like he is eccentric in that way.
Yeah.
He's a one of a kind actor, and I'm glad to see him back in a movie
I'd like
that's worth
to
seeing.
see more stuff like this.
Well,
at
what
Honey Boy,
movie is
so.
that?
Oh, the Peanut Butter Falcon.
The Peanut Butter
Butter
Falcon.
Falcon.
Yeah.
Let's get to it. Here
Yeah.
is our review of The Peanut Butter Falcon.
Originality is not quite dead in Hollywood, and neither is Shia LaBeouf's career. A simple yarn spinning themes of self-discovery, friendship, prejudice, and the human spirit, The Peanut Butter Falcon, a modern-day telling of Mark Twain's adventures of Huckleberry Finn, is a short yet powerfully poetic film that will touch your heart. Telling the story of a 22-year-old man with Down syndrome, Zach, played by actor Zach Gottsagen, who himself has Down syndrome, The Peanut Butter Falcon incorporates the real-life Zach's dream of becoming an actor, only making it a wrestler for the film. Zach, who is a warden of the state, is stuffed into a nursing home as he has no family and no one else to care for his needs. Zach dreams of meeting his idol, professional wrestler, the Saltwater Redneck, played by Thomas Hayden Church. With help from his roommate Carl, portrayed by Bruce Dern, Zach escapes the nursing home and stows away on a small motorboat owned by Tyler, played by Shia LaBeouf. Tyler is a down-on-his-luck fisherman who recently lost his brother Mark, played by John Bernthal, and the contract they once had to catch and sell crab. After running into trouble stealing other crabbers' crabs to sell and catching the dock on fire in a bout of vengeance, Tyler soon finds himself on the run with his unbeknownst stowaway Zach. The pair soon form an unlikely friendship as they float down the Outer Banks of North Carolina. On the hunt for Zach in an attempt to return him to the nursing home is Eleanor, portrayed by Dakota Johnson, who too will find herself on a journey of self-discovery as she meets Tyler and confronts Zach in his dream. All the while, Tyler too is being hunted by the local crabbers whose pocketbooks he has harmed when burning their equipment in the dock. The film itself is only an hour and a half long, but it fits in a lot of depth and character that will hit your emotional nerve and not let up. The cast is stupendous with powerhouse performances from all three main leads. Zach gets to fulfill his dream of being in a film while portraying a role that is essentially him playing himself. Even still, the performance he gives is raw and emotion-filled, with Zach's passion shining through. LaBeouf, as the troubled young man who is searching for a purpose and place in the world, could also be described as LaBeouf portraying at least an aspect of himself, as he too in real life has had his share of eccentricity and struggles. Dakota Johnson as Eleanor covers the person who knows who they are supposed to be, struggling with who they really are, and the three showcase the power of self-assurance and the human spirit throughout. With powerhouse monologues delivered by LaBeouf, the film tackles prejudice and stereotyping as Tyler lets Zach be his own person, while all those around them underestimate what Zach is capable of. With heavy themes displayed through touching narrative and witty tongue-in-cheek humor, The Peanut Butter Falcon is simple but powerful, with the only gripe being that I wanted to see more character exposition and interaction. It's not that the film needed more, each character is perfectly realized with the story telling us exactly what it needs to. But there are more areas in which the story could have offered up more details, and while unnecessary, I'd have welcomed it. It's just that compelling. I give The Peanut Butter Falcon 3.5 out of 4 stars. Well, there you have it, 3.5 stars.
You know what?
There's
I
only
just
3 up
noticed.
there,
I
though.
know.
Gosh dang it, we can't get through one week without technical
Brandon,
difficulties.
You ruined it. Jeez. Hey,
That's,
nobody knows it was me.
That was
Nobody knows I do that behind
You're
the
the
scenes.
only one that does that stuff around here. So.
Brandon, you do all the editing and you ruined it. You
I just ruined. I ruined it. It's ruined. So 3.5.
3.
But you know what? The lower third is correct.
half.
It
Good.
says 3.5 out of 4
that's,
stars.
that's more fitting with my
That's-
star review.
Oh, it's
Because
3.5.
I give it 3.
3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
What were some of the issues that you had there, Sean?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh, me? This guy?
Yeah.
Okay. I had 2 major
Mhm.
qualms with the film.
Mm-hmm.
One of the and there's going to be spoilers, but the first one were, and I talked to you about it in the theater, the guys that were chasing
Yeah.
the 2 main characters. I thought that was completely just unnecessary and unrealistic how these poor guys would cross several state lines to find these guys when all of their stuff just, burned up on the docks. They would need to be getting back out and fishing again.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was just kind of silly and pointless for them to track them down that
To hunt him
far.
down.
Now, if they would have, got him before he got out of town, yeah. But these guys would have just been like, well, if that son of a buck ever comes back to town, I'm going to kill him. And then they
Yeah.
would have got back on with their day. because they need to. They didn't have the money to just to go on a week-long or 2-week-long trip tracking this guy down.
Yeah.
So I didn't think that was very realistic, and I didn't care for. I think it could have been left without those guys, and either had people tracking them down because he's got a young handicapped guy with him, and they could have
Or
had
even
the
the fact
police
that
out looking for him or something.
Could have had the law looking
But
for
yeah,
him.
the law never shows up looking for him.
I do agree that was a minor gripe I had, but that's kind of why.
For me, it was a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
The last thing was the ending of the film,
which I loved personally.
I liked the happy ending, but I thought that with it wrapping up with him getting, his injury,
Yeah.
and then being in the hospital, and they play into this, like, they show Dakota Johnson like screaming, crying, they do make you think that he is dead, and then he's just in the he's in the back of the car, and it's kind of like. He waves his hand, and it's they're moving on towards their happy ending. I get that, but I almost would have rather him died.
Yeah.
I thought that would have made it much more
tragic,
impactful and more tragic, because it still would have. He left a legacy in the film.
You got me disappointed.
Sorry, man.
I
told you there's spoilers.
I need to go
but
see this.
He would have left a legacy upon this young
No, I agree.
man, but I thought the ending. He gets hit, it blacks out. You wake up, happy ending. I thought it was too quick for the ending to just be, he gets hit with a tire iron, and he wakes up, and now the ending it's over.
I disagree, because I felt like the climax and the ending was obviously, I think, Zach in the wrestling ring, and then this was just them kind of wrapping it up like, they've all kind of learned their lesson, with the pinnacle being, Zach being able to accomplish what he did in the ring, and it's like Tyler obviously, Zach, through his interaction with Zach, has changed kind of who he is a little bit, and of course
I agree.
Eleanor did too, and then of course the only thing they really had to wrap up after that was the guys coming after them.
So it's kind of like the consequences of his actions at the beginning of the film
finally
come around and get him, but then it's like, well, what happened to those guys? I
just didn't feel like it was a necessary.
What
happened to them?
I wanted to see it. I wanted to see. They did more harm than he did, and I felt like if you're going to show them getting justice on him, then you definitely need to show some kind of justice on them. There needs to be something. But also, I didn't even feel like the wrestling scene was the climax.
Oh, really?
That was my problem. I was like, oh, this is awesome. He's finally getting to live his dream. But I didn't feel like it had a climax. I felt like it just came to an end, and it was like, well, wait a minute, where's the big crescendo? Like I never saw it.
I don't know, because the whole film was fairly simple and just this quick and easy tale. So I felt like the way it wrapped with him in the wrestling ring and that being his dream and how that came about and everything, I felt like him accomplishing his goal and proving he could do things that people didn't think he could. I was like, I felt satisfied in that was the point of.
I see it. Because it definitely made me happy.
With it being like a modern, because even like Huckleberry Finn and Tom, so even those books, they don't have like any big or extravagant wrap up or any big with it being kind of a modern day Mark Twain type tale, is just a story of these people on like just a small journey of self discovery trying to escape their past. I mean, that's like Huck Finn on the raft with Jim is like very comparable to Tyler and Zach on the raft.
You can see the similarities,
obviously, and with it being them trying to run from their past and still discovering that what they did in the past doesn't necessarily have to define them. It's who they are and like what they do with who they are that makes their future. And I like that.
No, I get that. Yeah. I'm more of a stickler for realism. And when you've got an escaped handicapped person with Down syndrome,
well, that was her role. She was supposed to bring him back,
right?
So.
And she doesn't. She kidnaps him, but basically.
It does show her staying in contact with the nursing home the whole time and pretty much leading them on. Because there's a scene in the diner where she's like, "Oh yeah, I'll bring him back. We'll be back tomorrow." Blah blah blah. Which
then they move to Florida.
Of course they don't
for the rest of their lives.
But I mean,
it's like you don't have any custody of this kid
at that. Yeah. And
I'm just like, so now all three of you are basically criminals.
Yeah.
So it's a Thelma and Louise driving down the road. Like I just didn't like that they left it that open to where it's just like, yes, I understand it's supposed to be a modern day Mark Twain, but in a Huckleberry Finn, two people can run away and there's no consequence, there's no law, back then they could. Today in this in this time, that's not something that's a possibility. And this happy ending is, to me, there's not much of a happy ending because there's going to be consequences for them taking this kid and just leaving. And
Well, I'll tell you right now, I don't even want to see the movie now.
Yeah.
I'm just
Sorry.
kidding.
You
should. It's really good.
I actually know
It's-
your all's disagreements make me want to see it.
It's really good.
even
I
more
mean,
now.
it is a
because
I'm
you all
not
are
saying-
both
I'm not
saying.
denying
Yeah,
that
I was gonna say
it's a
three,
fantastic film.
3 out of 4.
And I would
3 and
say
a half.
the acting from Zach
Oh, yeah, he was
Gottsagen,
great.
Yeah.
he is, for him to have the disability that he does, it makes him the actor that he is. Like, I
Right.
mean, the fact that he can do that and
Well, that was
put
his-
forth such an
yeah.
amazing performance. Like, there are moments, Keith, I mean, where you are in tears
Oh yeah.
because of some of the stuff that he says, and not so much because of what
Right.
Yeah.
the seasoned actor Shia LaBeouf says.
Their
Like, it's
interactions and
fantastic.
development, that's what makes the film, is pretty much just their relationship, like them two
Which, and,
together.
and
Yeah.
I'll say, even
And-
from the trailers, that's what you get.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you get the
There's
interaction
a lot.
that
There's
it's
a
really
lot
about
more.
them.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one of the things I will say is they don't give the whole film away
No.
In the
in
trailer.
the trailer like a lot of movies do now. There's a lot more depth there.
They well, that's because like I said,
Funny
in the
enough,
review,
you bring
his,
that up because that actually was a big thing this past week with Knives Out. Apparently, Ryan Johnson is saying, "Do not see the latest trailer if you want to go in completely unexpected."
Oh, really?
Which I
hate
just
when-
that brought
I hate
up a
when
topic of discussion of thinking.
Production
Like,
companies do that.
I know exactly. It's like, well, and sometimes it's not really up to them as much as
saying,
it is.
It's not up
They
to
leave
the
it to
director a
somebody
lot.
who, the production house sends it off to somebody who creates the
Cuts
trailer
the trailers,
from,
yeah.
and it's like, ugh,
Yeah,
do
a
they
lot
give
of
away
time it
too
has
much?
nothing to do. Like the director doesn't have a say in it, and a lot of times they're all. It's not the he's not the first director that's done that. I mean, there's been others. where
others,
directors
right,
have
yeah.
been like, hey, don't watch this trailer because it's not something. But
Whereas
Yeah.
when you're like Marvel, it's like you
but
have
going
control
back-
over
yeah.
all that. But
going
yeah.
back to Zach, yeah, his in real life, his life stream was to star, like to be an actor in not necessarily star, but be an actor in a film or whatever. And that was something that the directors took into account when they made it. And I mean, they obviously they gave him his wish.
Yeah, it's like a
and
make a wish.
And put his
Yeah.
plot, but they put his plot into the film by making the film's journey about his dream to be
Wanting
in the
to
film
be a
wrestler.
wrestling star.
Right.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're like they thought it would make a good story, along with obviously it being a modern day kind of Mark Twain thing. But I mean,
Right.
that was
Yeah.
something they had always intended. But yeah, it's very good, and it is cool to think that the film itself is a showcase for something in real life too. So it's like, I mean, they definitely crossed their T's and dotted their I's
Yeah.
when they were thinking about the emotional aspects.
Oh,
It
yeah.
definitely has that down pat.
Yeah.
Well, and it seems
Yeah.
like to me, even through your all's disagreements, it's like that's the one thing that brings the film together
Mhm.
is the impact of the relationship between Shia LaBeouf and Zach's character.
Yes.
And it's like, along even with
Dakota.
Dakota.
You throw her in
Johnson,
there, and
I
that's
was
just
gonna
a
say,
cherry
yeah.
on top,
Right.
because
And-
she's
and so-
easy on the eyes.
But, but the thing is when you all are talking about that, it makes me want. I mean, that was honestly 100% what I got from the trailer anyway.
Mhm.
Was I honestly liked it when you compared it to Huck Finn, and you were talking about it being just a modern day tale in
Mhm.
that regard with
Mhm.
this added little twist.
Well, there's even a
And-
line in the film where she says,
Yeah.
"What do you think you're in, a Mark Twain
Yeah.
novel
Nice,
or something like
nice.
that?"
Well, because
So-
they're floating down, the
they
Yeah.
build a raft and everything. So.
So I mean, but it's
But see,
yeah,
and
well
that's the
done.
thing. Like to me though, that I will say when you said it was an hour and a half or 83 minutes or something like
No,
that, was
it's
it?
I think it's an hour and 33 minutes.
33
Yeah.
minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
But it was like I was a little bit shocked when you told me all of the plot that they cram into the film
Mhm.
because, like you were saying, they don't tell you everything in the trailer. And when you were explaining,
There's a lot.
yeah, when
for
you
a
were
short
explaining in
movie.
the review about how these crabbers are after him and like trying to get him
Mhm.
for destroying all this stuff, and I'm like, it did seem like that's a lot to pack into what
Yeah.
I considered to be.
and the pacing's fine.
It really is.
Like,
So it's not jarring.
I
at
never
all.
had a moment where I felt like this movie's going too fast. Like I mean, like with Sean, because I mentioned in my review, like the only thing that I would say is it did leave me wanting more. I wanted to see more of the characters, but not because I felt like there was things left out as much as I just enjoyed it so much that I wanted to see some of the things they didn't show.
And maybe that's where some of the quabbles that I have with the ending being open that way, and to me, like I said, just not being as realistic as the rest of the film was. Because the rest of the film, like everything is very believable. Like
Mhm.
you feel like this really happened to these people, or it's a story that definitely could really happen to someone out there. But then, like I said, when you get towards the end and some of the things that happen, I'm just like, no, it couldn't have happened that way, or someone would, and that's my mind just rolling too much. But I'm like Keith, if it would have been a 2-hour movie and there would have been 30 more minutes of their relationship to where I was fully satisfied with that, then the end may not have fallen short for me like it did. I would have been given that satisfaction in the middle of the film, and instead of it just being left out at the end. So I would have much rather seen more of their relationship building, because in the film, Shia LaBeouf's character, as his name Tyler, his brother's gone, his brother's dead, and that's kind of what makes his life spiral out of control.
Yeah.
And he becomes this big brother for
Zach.
Yeah. And to see all of that unfolding I wanted more of that.
Right.
I wanted him to become more of the older brother that he didn't have.
Yes.
And it's even because of some mistakes that he made. So a lot of it's him taking it out on himself and putting himself in these positions to punish himself. But to see him finally, at one point in the movie, he tells Dakota Johnson, he's like, this stuff's not going to happen anymore. And, because he's telling her, like, basically, I'm changing my life around.
Yep.
And he has this moment where it's just walking on the beach, and he's like, this ain't gonna happen no more.
But there's a lot of moments like that, like just moments just like with the event that leads to him telling her that. But there's just so many character-driven moments that I feel like are so good for a movie that was short. Just like, I mean, when she first catches up to them and is trying to drag Zach away, and he's like kind of opens her eyes to the fact that, like, you're treating him like he's just an object. Like, we have to get him back to the nursing home because he's a ward of the state and whatever. But it's like he's a living, breathing person that, yes, he has a disability, but he's still capable of making decisions and having choices. And there's a scene where on the raft where he's like, don't call him a retard. And she's like, I've never done that. He said, no, you haven't verbally, but the way you treat him like
you're calling. Yeah.
And I was like, it was just a really powerful moment. And there's so many of those throughout the movie that I'm like, wow,
Yeah. And I guess maybe for me, I just needed more of that.
Yes.
Just wanted more.
To be happy with the end, I wanted more and more
need,
filler.
I didn't feel like I needed more, but I did want more. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
So you're coming down on the side of where you felt like there was enough but wanted more, 3.5. You felt like there could have been a little bit more but liked what you saw.
Yeah.
3.
Yeah. Oh,
right.
It's a movie I would definitely see again, and I would buy it when it comes out.
Yeah.
I said it in our Instagram post. I said this movie is like a comeback for Shia LaBeouf, but it's also an awesome start for this Zach Gottsagen, because I want to see him in more films.
I'd love to see him in more things, yeah.
I think he should be the next Captain America. Sorry.
You just had to throw that out there, you asshole.
What?
You really want him to be Captain
Why
America.
not?
Why can't he?
What-
Is
what-
it
Yeah.
because he's not black?
Oh,
What are you
yeah.
trying
If
to
he was
say?
black, if he was
That's
black, you'd let him be
exactly
Captain
why.
America.
It's because he's
What are
not
you trying
black.
to say, Brandon?
I'm
Are you
trying to
putting
say-
limitations on people?
I'm trying to say,
That's what it sounds like to me.
you know what? Yeah, that's right.
He can
Just
hold a
like
shield.
I want the next Captain America to be black.
I want
And if he's not black,
I want Falcon to become Captain America, and then I want this kid to be the peanut butter Falcon.
Yes. Oh.
I love it.
No,
That's
great,
good.
great movie. Go see
Great
it.
movie. So fantastic. 3.5 out of 4 stars. Our official review. Go see the Peanut Butter Falcon.
Yep.
Okay,
Good movie.
Keith
Wow.
agrees.
Yeah.
Shall we move on to some headlines, guys?
I
Sure.
guess, though, they're kind of not...
There's not a lot this week,
They're not too punchy.
but our
My-
first one's a little bit.
It's just, here's the thing. It's not that they're bad headlines, but one of them is just going to be us stroking our ego a little bit because we've been... I'm just saying, because we've been calling it for... Well, I mean, everybody has,
I was
but
gonna say it's
but,
really not been a surprise.
but still, we've been...
and it just happened to happen the day after we go off air.
We've
Yeah.
been waiting.
come
We've
on.
been pretty much waiting for it to happen for a while now because everyone knew it was coming.
So wait, should we say just a moment of silence
No.
as movie passes?
They don't deserve a moment of silence.
hey, they changed the industry.
They did. I'll give up. Okay, you're right.
for the better.
You're right. They did change.
Actually, no, they didn't. There's really little impact on the industry
I mean,
these
we got
days.
AMC stubs, and I mean, there's a
I
lot
think it
of
would have
out there.
happened eventually.
Probably.
Anyway.
I do too, because
They just got to it first, and they didn't do it right.
Yeah.
right. They screwed everybody over, and so
They-
now
So go ahead and drop the bomb.
yeah. It's down on the lower.
Oh, it is.
Movie Pass is
sorry,
dead.
I
Movie
can't
Pass
see
is
that.
Not
Movie
only-
Pass is
Here's the
dead.
sad thing. Not only did they die, though, they announced it and cut it off the very next day. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, we're dead.
That's what
Yeah.
I thought was
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here and I saw the article and I was like, oh, big news. And it said,
They
they
didn't,
shut down tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm
They
like,
weren't like
what?
they weren't like
Holy
we're gonna have
crap.
you have till the end of the year to use your movie pass. No, they're like
Nothing.
sorry, we know
Nobody
you've
was
been
getting to use it anyway.
Yeah.
You can't use it. What are you going to use it on a movie that's
Grayed
been in theaters
out?
for
Yeah.
3 weeks already?
That's what they should have done. They should have just allowed it to be available and everything was grayed out.
yeah.
I mean, it was like,
It's like,
oh,
you
feel
can
free.
still use it to the end of the year.
Yeah.
Only you won't.
Well, that's my next question, and I didn't read this article. I read a different one about it. I didn't read this Hollywood Reporter one.
I mean, you just,
Are they giving people's money back?
no.
no, they're dead. They're under. They've gone under. I mean, they've completely shut down.
like
Think about it. They were hemorrhaging money anyway.
Oh, I know that.
But it's like,
Don't they
regardless-
have insurance to cover stuff like this? Or I mean, when you file bankruptcy, something.
No, they basically, that's why they had to steal your password.
Yeah. that's why when people canceled, they were still getting charged months
Yes.
after. That's
Yeah.
like we got to keep this money coming somehow.
That's insane.
It's
to
like
me.
Enron.
My thing is,
I mean, they just pack their own pockets and then they're like, gotta go.
Yeah, and I mean, it's
that's
one of them things where I don't want the federal government involved in everything, but I would love for them to get involved in something like this.
Yeah.
Just to get these people's money back
well,
somehow or another.
here's my thing, not to be
Throw some of these people in jail. They
not
knew
to
what they
be
were
a-
doing.
yeah, not to be a jerk, but it's like everybody saw the warning signs. I know some people were like, "Well, I'm gonna just hold on and hope that it gets better." But it's
I
like
was gonna
you
say,
should have jump shipped a lot. I mean, I'm sorry if you
We
lost
told
money 'cause
ya.
that is
We
terrible,
warned ya.
but
Yep.
it
I
is-
mean, we really truly got out while the getting was good. We
we did.
enjoyed probably like what was it, 10 months?
Oh,
of,
yeah.
of the service.
Almost
I
the whole
really
year.
Knowing-
loved it while
Oh,
I
yeah.
had it
Who didn't?
until it's.
I mean, we all knew.
The
I mean,
people
it's
who
like,
created it loved it too.
They made it they had a business model that wasn't sustainable.
Yeah.
I mean, they knew
Yeah.
they could not keep letting people watch whatever they wanted for. I mean, really,
I
they
think what
couldn't
I
afford
love
front the
most
bill.
about their story is the fact that MoviePass truly, after they were caught, basically, it was right after Mission Impossible Fallout came out.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And it was blacked out, and it was the first movie to do this.
And you
And then they
couldn't
tried to
watch
say,
it.
"Oh, it's a glitch in our system."
Yeah.
And then it was like for 2 weeks later, they were like, "Okay, we admit it. We're kind of in trouble. Okay,
Yeah.
Bankruptcy's looming. We're trying to figure out a
fact that
contingency plan."
They had terrible
And-
customer
yeah.
service. They lied
Oh,
about
yeah.
everything. They never came out and said we're this. They always
They
lied.
just changed
Yeah.
And then
crap,
they
and
had
then they
the-
just
Then
expected
they had the
you to
password
eat it.
thing where it's basically it's like we're going to change your password
So you can't log in.
Well, you can't
And you
log
can't
in and
cancel.
you can't cancel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then apart from that,
It's
it was I
insane
know.
that people get away with this crap. It's insane.
It's terrible.
But it's like, and that was the other thing is like written in their damn bylaws. They're like trying to get you to sign up, and every week they'd have like some new addition, and you'd have to agree to the terms and
Yeah.
conditions. And we knew what we were getting involved with.
basically their terms and conditions were sign this so we can continue stealing money.
Sign this, and basically we can do whatever we want with your account.
Oh yeah,
And if that means changing your password, it was
Yeah.
like, well, it was written in the terms and conditions.
Yeah.
Under certain circumstances.
it's like we're not
It's
stopping.
no longer
it's like,
my account if you change the
my
password.
password.
It's your
Yeah.
account
here's
now.
like they weren't telling you can't cancel. They just changed your password. I mean, you can cancel. You just got to get back in
Yeah.
somehow.
You gotta guess.
You gotta guess what it was. But the thing is
insane.
I will say we enjoyed the service. It provided
Yes.
the goods of what it said it would deliver for
Yeah.
about 10 or 12 months. And we got in because we were skeptical at the beginning. And after about 2 months of it continuing, we jumped on board.
Yep.
And we told people to jump on board. And it was
And it
that
was good
summer,
for a while.
even before Mission Impossible came out, where we were like, the signs are approaching. And there were articles
Yeah.
popping up. It wasn't just about how they were changing things last minute on people. We just saw trouble was coming. It was looming. So from that point on, we were like, okay, we're jumping ship. Don't trust MoviePass. We were looking at Cinemia. At that time, AMC Stubbs A-List came out because they were direct. I actually appreciate AMC being forthright and saying, hey, we know MoviePass has they're failing.
Yeah.
And there's no way they can keep this up. And we're going to offer something. We're thinking of a plan that we can offer people to actually, put forth our best effort to give people a subscription service to the theater.
Yeah.
And they came out with something that was sustainable. Obviously, MoviePass tried to pivot after their huge summer of fiasco of borrowing money and then hemorrhaging it before the summer was even over. And yet we knew the dark days were coming for MoviePass, and we thought, oh, maybe there's this last-ditch effort of some reorganization and them trying to come up with a new plan. But no, they stuck with the same movie a day.
Yeah.
But then they were like, well, only certain movies a day. And it basically just became really a shell of what it originally was promised.
At one point, it was like
And
only
it's
certain
just-
shows. It's like you could see this movie, but only at this showtime, and you can't see this movie. And I was like, there's no point in having this because unless I'm free to go see the movie I want to see at the showtime you're allowing me to see it,
Right.
It's like it's pointless. I mean, it's stupid. And now they're dead. So
I mean, it is. So that's the big news there. We just wanted to finally give them one last headline.
it's
Movie Pass is fading.
They
They're
gave us
done.
plenty of coverage and things to talk about for a good year there. So I
Yep.
guess we could thank
Yeah,
them
we
for
can
that
thank
as
them for
well.
that. Thank you, Movie Pass.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Content.
being a headline. We appreciate it. So let's move on to our other big headline this week,
Other
which
big.
is all right. It's,
I find it.
I
here's
was
the thing.
reaching, but
I find it interesting, I guess, because of we're interested in this sort of thing. I mean, other people may not, but
it plays a big part, I think, and people underestimate, how big a deal this is.
well, it plays a part in just the competition, and I mean,
Right.
just the whole. I like to think of it as what capitalism is supposed to be, and it's like, I mean, that's. We should probably tell you what we're talking about. Bob Iger, CEO of Disney, he was on the board at Apple and has stepped down, mainly because now that Disney is releasing Disney Plus and Apple is releasing Apple TV Plus,
Right, there's a conflict.
they're becoming competitors, and it could lead to. They're saying even though Bob Iger had no type of financial or material gain or stock in any of this, you could still the idea of could Apple and Disney be trading
I mean,
and
it
doing
really,
under the table type things,
right? And that's what it comes down to: is Disney Plus is coming out, Apple TV Plus is
Yeah.
coming out. It was the right time, especially with all the other controversies. Regardless, with
well, it's
Fox.
actually that Apple's released that theirs is $4.99, $2 cheaper than Disney, but it's like
well, yeah, but
at
then
the same
again,
time,
you're
it's like-
only getting
it's
you're
like what
only getting
content exactly.
One is exclusive content primarily that's new
Yeah.
versus age-old
Disney
content.
has
Disney's
a
been around for.
massive they have all their stuff, all of Fox's stuff, all of. I mean,
Oh,
they
yeah.
have so
Yes.
much material. It's
Well,
like,
the other reason I wanted to bring this up, though, was pretty interesting because
Mm-hmm.
the other thing that popped up in the headlines right after Bob Iger stepped down
You talking about the merge?
was the merger. And I thought this was an
That's what I was getting
interesting
ready to say.
comment, was the fact that Bob Iger had the gall, because I really think this is, I don't know, to put words in
Bobby.
Steve Jobs' mouth. I know Iger was close with him, and I know that he was on Apple's board, and I know Iger's a visionary in
well,
and of
Jobs
himself.
was on Disney's board
Yeah.
as well.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But at the same time, what I found interesting was that Bob Iger sitting here saying that, if Steve were still alive, I'm pretty sure our companies would have merged by now.
I
And
don't
I'm
think
like,
so.
I don't know about that.
I think that's just Bob trying to throw his weight around and sound like I'm head of Disney. Like, I mean,
No, I don't
so
think
much
it's that. I think it's
No,
more
I
of a
don't mean-
hats off to.
not in a
I
pompous
love,
way.
I
Yeah.
love the company I was a part of, and I want to say that we were so in tune and we were our relationship was so good.
And that's what I mean. I don't
think
mean
that's
it in
what
a
it was.
pompous way. It was just him saying, me and Steve Jobs
got
could've-
along.
I think he was just kind of like we could have ruled the world, not in like a conceited way, but we
Yes.
were just. He was ahead of Disney. He was
I
ahead of
think
Steve
it could have
Jobs.
been possible, but I just don't see.
I don't think
I mean,
Steve Jobs would have wanted it.
I don't think he would have wanted it because he
Right.
was so about Apple being his.
yes,
And for good reason, because I mean, look at it now.
look at it now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
I'm
look
just-
at it.
but
Look at it
see,
every time he wasn't
What I
involved
think of,
with it.
yeah, but what I think of when I hear those comments from Bob Iger is I'm wondering, what if you're Tim Cook and you're sitting at home reading this on CNN's headlines or whatever, and
Yeah.
you're just like, damn,
That's son
like
of a-
why wouldn't he come to me and try to
But
it's
see,
just
but
like-
I think that's why
it's just
Tim
like
Cook, for one, when
I think
has
it's
Apple
almost like
ever
Bob
said
Iger
any
saying,
headline?
I don't want to merge with Apple now. I would have wanted to merge with it when Steve was alive.
so
but,
you
but
read
not
it that
now.
way.
Yeah.
Well,
I
See,
read it.
I don't think Tim Cook would. I think Tim Cook would see that and be like, that's cute, because it's like I think he, along with Phil Schiller, all of the main heads at Apple who work day in and day out with Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
I think Tim Cook knows. Again, I think he sees it as a comment of Bob is sending. He's going off into the sunset from Apple to just send a hats off and like I really love this company and what it's become. And now we're competing in this other sphere. So okay, we don't want to mix and mingle in that way.
Yeah.
But I don't think Tim Cook is reading into it as like a slap in the face to him as much as it is he's just saying. I mean, it's like any good leader is going to be effective by saying our relationship was great. We're parting ways because of this, but it has nothing to do. Like there was nothing
But see,
toxic.
he could have just
involved.
as easily said, because of this, potential conflict, I'm stepping down from this position. And, we had such a good relationship with Apple that I could have seen us and Disney and Apple merging someday. But instead, he throws Steve Jobs' name out there. Says, if he were still alive, I can see us merging someday.
Which I think is too far. I think that's a little bit too much.
If Steve Jobs,
I think it's a little loaded on
if
his
Steve
part.
Jobs,
no, I agree.
was still alive, still running Apple well into the future. I mean, Apple's already one of the hugest companies out there.
Right.
They could have been another Disney at some point with as much stuff as they're getting into.
They technically are. I mean,
that's
the way people don't. I mean,
be.
that's the funny thing is like. Yeah. I mean, Disney is by far probably the biggest name in entertainment.
Yeah.
In terms of how much reach they have and how much they own now in the industry. But when it comes down to purely like largest company, Apple wins.
Oh, yeah, Apple.
They're a $1 trillion company.
Oh yeah.
And it's like at the end of the day, it's like, oh yeah, you would have merged. No, Apple would have bought you out.
It's like Disney.
I mean,
is going to have Disney's going to have all of the video content. Apple has all the music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're the biggest, basically, music distribution company
Spotify
in the world.
would now.
They
still claim the top as far as paid subscribers.
Really?
Okay.
But here's the thing: even then, Apple is still the largest technological.
Oh yeah.
And no doubt, obviously, being a $1 trillion company in technology, Apple is now transitioning from not only just hardware, software, but services.
Oh yeah.
And it's like that's why Apple TV Plus is even a thing. And so it is becoming a competition between Disney and Apple today because of that service. Yeah. But at the end of the day, there's still two separate companies focused on two separate things. I mean, even Apple has come out and said
for now
their focus true. I mean, just like music has become a huge bottom line for Apple.
Their focus isn't their devices much anymore.
Well, but it has to be because their devices, everything else, services is huge, but it comes, it doesn't eclipse anywhere the revenue or the profits.
People
that
are still buying it.
iPhones
I'm just
bring
saying
in.
the thought process going into it and the creativity going into it. I don't
the
think
innovation is
the innovation's not there anymore.
Well, that's because Tim Cook's in charge.
Yeah,
I would agree. But here's the thing, and other people would say, but like Warren Buffett buying stock with Apple, he's like, it's clear direction where Apple's headed. And I'm like, I don't know if that's necessarily a safe thing.
Yeah.
Or it's a safe thing for your stock dollars, but it's not a safe thing for the people who enjoyed when the iPhone was released or the iPad or all these other major innovations that came forward when Steve Jobs was at the helm.
That's the difference. Steve Jobs wanted to be an innovator. Tim Cook, it's not that like it's not that like I think he's like I don't want to innovate.
I think he's a great businessman.
Yeah, it's not that I think he has in his head that he doesn't want to innovate. It's just that for him, innovation isn't a top priority as much as being that good businessman that brings in the money.
Yeah,
like he's like I'm
fine
even
with Johnny Ives being out of the mix too.
Yeah,
he was.
Sad.
I mean, he was their head designer.
Yeah.
I mean, he designed
Johnny Ives
like
designed
it looks the way it does. Yeah.
Well, we know the 3 camera back.
That would have never flown with.
That's
with
why
Ives.
I think it's
or
funny.
Jobs.
All of these comments being made when Steve Jobs is in the grave, and I'm like, how many times has he turned over in the grave? Since all this stuff has been said, he just keeps.
He's almost dug his way out.
He's
probably dug himself like 6 foot deeper.
Like a drill bit.
I don't want to hear any of this stuff anymore.
Yeah. He's trying to contact somebody. He's like, I need you all to get me out of the cloud. Download me from the cloud. I need to come back.
I'm ready. Siri, bring me back. Come on. No, but I do think that this whole competition thing, I think it's very apparent even by the services that Apple is offering. I mean, with the $4.99 a month price tag for only Apple exclusive content, but even they have said they're spending, I think, $5 billion in terms of exclusivity, which is a drop in the hat for them. Yeah. But still, primarily their research dollars, primarily their main focus is is not that content from Apple TV Plus. It's just like with news and music. All these other services are packed into their integrated ecosystem. And that's what Apple is trying to do, is continue to maintain that head of where do you go for a one-stop shop? And if Apple can create that kind of exclusive content arena where they can offer all of these, these beautiful, wonderful services along with a beautiful experience through their hardware and software, then that's their bread and butter. And that's what Tim Cook has done since Steve Jobs has left.
Yeah.
But Disney's focus is completely different. Disney's focus is on nothing but trying to continue to push entertainment, trying to find new revenues and profit streams for that content. That's their main focus and their main bread and butter. So I understand where he's coming from when he's sitting here talking about they would have merged and maybe created this huge entertainment technological, company
Yep.
that would have been a mammoth. But at the same time, I think that's also what makes them great is that they are separate.
Yeah.
And I think that at the end of the day, they're two separate focuses that need to be the huge giants they are to focus and do best what they do best.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what they do. Disney provides content and beautiful entertainment, and Apple, even though they're getting in that game, it's not their primary focus.
No,
Hardware, software is still their primary focus, that one-of-a-kind experience that you only get with Apple.
And, I mean, as much as even we who all own Apple products, is that we gripe about even both companies. There's people who have their gripes against Disney, but at the end of the day, even as much as we want Apple to be more innovative like they once were, and even though there's times when Disney releases things that feel heartless, like their remakes of animated classics,
Yeah,
they both
absolutely.
they both still provide things that no other company does. They still both do things that they are, like you said, the best at what they do. It's like you can argue all day that they may have some poor releases here and there, but overall their averages are better than their faults.
There's a reason why both companies are as big as they are.
Yeah.
Somebody likes what they're doing. And I don't think that necessarily it's like, you get too many cooks in the kitchen. And I think that's the thing. If you start talking like what Bob Iger is talking about, it's a beautiful sentiment. I think he's saying to Apple as he leaves in the sunset, but I still think it's one of those things where it's like, look, guys, let's not get carried away. They're two different companies that have two entirely different focuses. And at the end of the day, it's like, I'm glad that they're separate. And I'm looking forward to seeing, yes, like you say, Keith, that competition between Disney and Apple through their different subscription services.
I mean, any competition is just going to spurn more creativity and more, hopefully, innovation someday with Apple's part. But I mean, when it comes to the content that we're getting from our streaming services, I think that's, and in the theater, if there is that healthy competition there, it's going to drive each party to make better stuff.
Well, I think we're already
that's
seeing
what I want.
the benefit of it, because even just in the last year and a half since Disney Plus has been ramping up and they've been announcing all their things, I think I've noticed a change in Netflix, Hulu, Amazon.
Yes.
And some of the I think they're feeling the pressure.
Netflix has some great stuff coming out this month.
And I feel like they're feeling that pressure, and they're really fighting for, their subscribers. And that's a great thing, because, I mean, Amazon, they've always had some originals, but in the last year and a half, I feel like they have released some really great things.
They've really amped
Same
it
with
up.
Hulu, and then, of course, Netflix, which has always been a powerhouse. I feel like, they've had some good stuff, in the last couple of years that seemed like, but here in the last year, they've really started,
in fact,
releasing
the new Shia LaBeouf movie that we were referring to is an Amazon production.
Honey Boy, yes,
Honey
it's
Boy is
an
an
Amazon
Amazon
original.
original,
So,
so-
I mean, there you go. I mean,
That's going to be one that we'll get to see in the theaters, but hopefully shortly after that, we'll be able to watch it on
on
streaming
Amazon
service.
Prime. Yeah. But I mean, again, like you said, just wonderful things changing in the industry.
Yeah.
But Apple just being another player is just going to bring more competition, and at the end of the day, it's more great entertainment.
One
for
of the
all
things
us.
me and my wife were talking about the other night, and this may be a longer conversation for another time, but with all these streaming services, especially with Apple announcing theirs, I mean, if you're really going to have all of these and you add them up, it's more than cable. It's more than cable.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's why they're all vying for your dollars.
Yeah.
They're all trying to say, no, come here. This is the
it's
content
just funny
because
people are saying, oh, well, I'm getting away from cable and I'm going to get this streaming service, but no, you need this one, this one, this one, this one,
Well, there
and this
was even
one.
an analyst that came out this week and said Apple was eating the cost and weren't projecting correctly, even though they denied it, by saying because they're doing this whole iPhone, iPad promotion where, and iMac. It's
You
like
get
you
a
buy,
year for free.
You get a year for free
Yeah.
if you buy a new iDevice.
Yeah.
And it's like, but if that's the case, it's like, well, now you've got a year of this subscription. But to me, while that could be just a ploy to get you to subscribe and forget after a year,
Yeah.
I think it says something on their part, just like with the music subscription for 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, we believe that you're going to love the content we
That you're
give
gonna
you,
keep
that
it.
you're going to keep it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it says, here's a year to just test drive it.
Yeah.
And we're the only ones in the market, for one, that have the pockets to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also the
It's-
ability to say, we trust in
When
our
you-
exclusive content.
When you
that
sell
much.
an iPhone for $1,199 that cost you $250 to build,
True.
you've got the kind of cash to just, to just throw stuff away for free.
And again, that's also why Apple was sticking with, hey, that's our bread and butter.
yeah,
not,
I'm just
not
saying that's
content.
yeah, they're screwing you one place to give you a break in another. So
I'll take it.
well, I guess I'm probably not going to get Apple Plus or whatever it's going to
Apple
be called.
TV Plus.
Apple TV Plus.
I didn't know. If I had to choose between the two, I would definitely go
I mean, first of
Disney,
all, you
yeah,
have to
but-
have an Apple device to play it on, and I don't want to
You
watch.
do not.
You have to have an Apple
read-
TV.
I read you had to have
no,
something.
You have to have
no. Apple TV Plus, the app will be available on PlayStation 4,
Really?
Xbox One. Your
Are you sure?
Yes, it will be available on Roku's. Yes,
'Cause
Apple TV Plus app.
I gotta look that up.
The app will be available on other devices besides just Apple devices.
Because I just read the other day, like I have a Roku. I have like 5 of them in my house, and I checked the Roku rumors and all that kind of stuff. And just the other day, I was reading that Roku has said they are absolutely not going to sign any kind of an app development for Apple TV Plus, their competitor. Like they were not going to do that.
As far as I'm concerned,
And I thought when I read-
Roku may not be included in that.
That's crazy.
But I know for a fact PlayStation is, and I know there's multiple other streaming devices that are planning on having an Apple TV Plus app, just like with Apple Music. Now, it may not be right out of the gate, but it may be over the course of time, as just like with Apple Music. Apple
Yeah.
Music now is available on Sonos players and all of these other devices that are even Alexa can hook up to your Apple TV or Apple Music subscription.
Yeah.
So there are going to be these other devices because that would shoehorn Apple into only their devices, and that I mean for $4.90, even for $4.99, it's just like I don't see them getting away with that. That would be way too much of a corner on the market for them to even try to break free on. The whole idea of it is to try to get more and more viewers so that you can create more and more content. But with that being the case, I do think Apple coming in at a $4.99 price tag, who knows? I think that may be competitive.
Apple's website says if you have an iPhone, iPad, Mac, or Apple TV, you already have the capability. You already have the app. The ultimate way to watch Apple TV Plus. You'll also find Apple TV app on select Samsung smart TVs. And in the future, we're bringing the Apple TV experience to even more smart TV streaming boxes and streaming sticks.
The article I'm reading from September said, the revamped Apple TV app will also be available on LG, Sony, and Vizio smart TVs. And then in the future, Apple TV app will be available on the popular Roku and Amazon Fire TV platforms. Presumably, that means any Roku or Fire TV streaming stick or set-top box, along with any smart TVs that have those apps. All of those platforms will get the new apps sometime in the future, but no specific time frame was announced.
I mean,
it doesn't say anything about PlayStation or Xbox.
I remember looking that up because that was my main concern, having a PlayStation as my main streaming box.
Yeah.
So
we only use Roku, and that's that article that I was reading may have said we're not ruling it completely out, but it was like right now we have no we have no
I think
intention.
I think it's going to be a slow. I think Apple wants you.
Well, it has to come down to also all of because they have to make contracts and deals with these platforms, especially since, like you said, Roku and Amazon are competitors. So for them to allow,
is there a PS View on Apple TV?
No, but there is an app. There's an app on your phone. I know there's an app. A PlayStation View app.
I'm pretty sure, yes, you can download PS View on the app on the Apple TV.
Okay.
I know you can on Amazon, like on Amazon Fire, you can download PlayStation
View. I knew the Roku and Amazon have it, but I didn't know about Apple. I was just wondering, Sony's one of their biggest competitors, so.
I have the app on my iPad and my phone, so I would assume that the Apple TV would have the app as well. I don't know why they wouldn't include it.
Okay.
But I definitely think, Apple's obviously worried about their own ecosystem to get that out of the gate, but then they're going to be pursuing, especially if they want this thing to build, they're going to have to pursue other avenues other than their own devices. So it's just going to be a matter of time, but it's coming. It's coming. So with that being our topic of the week, guys, I think maybe,
we should finally go
we should
to our
finally get
story time.
to story time. We're getting late.
Yeah.
It's story time, where the podcast members tell their stories.
Story time. It's story time, guys. Are y'all ready for story time?
What are you trying to do over there, Brandon?
I don't know. I'm trying.
I don't know,
What?
but I think it just felt like it was
making
very
fun of people with
insensitive.
lisps.
Yeah, it seemed very insensitive to me.
I'm telling you, y'all seen that peanut butter falcon, and now y'all think y'all can just friggin' talk about every
We're
single defend every
SJWs.
you're SJWs. That's
Okay.
right.
Snowflakes.
No, that's what you all used to be.
I like
Now you're
snowflakes.
SJWs. You're real.
When they
We're the real
fall on
deal.
your
We're
tongue.
Antifa. That's what we're going to be tomorrow. Antifa.
Oh, gosh. All right,
Okay,
guys.
story time.
Get on to story time here.
What's our story today?
Well, we kind of teased it
What's
already
our story?
at the beginning of the show.
Tell
but
me a story.
our story time segment.
All over the place.
I'm telling you, man.
Tell me a story right now.
You spent enough years with this guy, and you just ignore him.
No.
You just don't even.
No, you
No.
don't.
Yeah.
You try.
I know, but
you didn't.
I know. I'll listen back and I'll hear that and I'll be like, what?
I'm
in
looking
the
at my
world?
notes here, and it's like story time. T ?
Oh, yeah.
Do you
because
want
we-
tea?
No, it's just the letter T.
That stands for trinormous.
Oh.
Because
Wow.
you try really hard, but you fail.
And
That's
when
your
you
word of the
fail,
day.
you get injured.
Okay.
So our story time segment
You
is about self-inflicted stupidity.
Mm.
Well,
As Sean coined it
times
just
you've
before
hurt
the show.
yourself doing something.
30 seconds before the show.
It was working beautifully.
It was great. But times that you're doing something you know is really stupid and could result in injury,
But
and
you
of
do
course
it anyway?
does. Yeah, you do
Yeah.
it anyways, and then you
Yeah.
hurt yourself.
So who wants to
Like
start?
putting your eyeball
I mean-
into a.
I'll start because I'm going to tell Neil's story
Tell
for
Neil's
him.
story real quick.
Yeah. tell
So,
that.
like several years ago, Thanksgiving Day, I'm pretty sure it was, we had Thanksgiving. We're over at my dad's house and we're doing
Yeah.
stupid stuff. So we decide, hey, let's get the potato gun out and shoot that on Thanksgiving because that's what everybody does on
'Cause
Thanksgiving.
nothing says thank you like shooting
a
potatoes.
shooter.
Potatoes.
Yeah.
So we get the potato gun out and we fill the sucker up with hairspray and it's not, it doesn't fire,
ignited.
doesn't go. So we open the little valve in the back and say to my brother-in-law, who I love very much and still apologize to, hey, why don't you look in the end of that thing and see if it's even sparking when I hit the igniter?
Oh no!
So Neil,
why did he do it?
Neil was my intention, and the way that I thought he would do it, and that I would have done it, was stand back a little bit and look in that little hole and see the little blue spark. But Neil got right up next to the end of it, almost put his eye to it like a telescope, and I hit the
gosh.
igniter, and that time it fired.
Of course it did.
Instead of the potato being launched out of
Launched.
the end, all of the flaming hairspray came out of the small little opening that Neil's eye was pressed up against.
Oh my gosh!
So he
oh my god!
he flew back like 20 feet and screamed and he was like, he wasn't crying, but he was, because his eye was falling apart, and and it was like just
You'll
full of
put
liquid
your
and everything.
eye out.
Yeah, basically. So he ended up going to the hospital that day and
Thanksgiving.
having a piece of
He spent
PVC.
Thanksgiving on
A piece
in
of
the hospital.
PVC was removed from
Well,
his.
they do say the
Wow.
holidays
eye.
is when hospitals get
Yeah.
the most of those people.
Yeah.
So
So yeah, he was injured pretty bad. He had like an eye patch he was like kind of like you. You had that
Yeah,
eye patch. He had
yeah.
an eye patch for a little while. I don't think it was very long. Like
I
maybe
feel
a
like
week
he had it for
or
like
so.
a week.
Yeah, maybe a week or something
That's
like
still
that.
longer
It
than
wasn't
me.
bad. It didn't go like real deep into
Well, you
his.
just scratched your cornea.
The
He
cornea.
had
Yeah.
a
piece of
flame.
PVC.
Yeah, he had
stuck in his
flake of
cornea.
plastic stuck in there, and they
Yeah.
removed it. So yeah, he got very, very lucky, and it was just really stupid on both of our parts. Stupid for him to put his eye to it just because somebody told him to, and
Stupid for
not
you to be
stand
like-
back, and stupid for me to even ask.
Yeah.
And it was stupid for both of us to just want to get a potato gun out on Thanksgiving.
I mean,
That's
why
not
But-
stupid. That's
but-
just good, wholesome family fun.
That's right.
I
That's
tried to
right.
crack a walnut on my head.
Really?
Yeah. I
Yeah,
did.
that's-
I've tried to crush a candle, like a Boy Meets World scenario
Yeah.
where like
It was
you're
full?
like, no, it wasn't full.
Yeah,
I wasn't Eric.
Yeah.
Where you're just like, but I mean, that's not my story. That's just
No, same here.
I saw it on
Mine.
TV and I was like, I could do that. Bam! No, I can't.
Yeah, same here. No, that's not my story, but yeah, it was a Thanksgiving thing. That's why I brought it up. It was everybody gets
story's
the
not on
holiday nuts.
Thanksgiving.
Mhm.
No, mine isn't either. That was just a
Oh,
side. That was just a throwaway. I
Okay.
took a walnut and I was
Okay.
like, I'm gonna try to crack this. And
Yeah.
my sister and them were watching,
Yeah.
and I slammed that sucker into my head, and I did not crack.
You cracked your skull.
Yeah, that wall. I mean, we got it on tape. I can't find
Oh
it.
man.
But
I'd like to
my
see it.
sister and them were laughing hysterically, and I mean, it hurt. Had a big
Mhm.
whelp on my head for the next day. Yeah.
Gross.
But yeah, we can move on. Keith, what about you? What's your
I
story?
have several stories. I know. I mean, the one I mentioned was the one at the lake where we were dueling with paddles, which I think we've actually talked about this story a little bit
Yeah.
before
Yeah.
on the podcast, where
Lamaria.
we were fighting with the plastic boat oars, and you smacked me.
Gungadin Island.
You smacked me in the face with it. So I mean, that was a stupid thing we did that
My-
resulted in
My
a
apologies.
gash. I've kicked myself in the nuts before.
How did you do that?
How do you do that?
I had one of those I mean, I was trying to take off a boot, and it's one of those boots that it goes. You tie it like all the way up, halfway up your calf, like they're hunting. And I didn't want to untie it. Like I was being extremely lazy, and I was sitting there. I was just
Pull that
tugging.
off.
I had it like when you cross your leg and you're grabbing your shoe, and I'm just sitting there tugging on this boot, and I got my whole leg, and I'm just like, I'm gonna get this boot off, and it came off, and my foot came back.
Oh my God!
And kicked
Like,
me
I
in the
didn't even know
nuts.
that was possible.
I didn't think it was either.
I don't think I can touch my foot to my nuts.
I
don't think
can't
do that.
normally, but apparently, like
when it's reared up like a damn slingshot.
Jeez.
and I yanked that boot, and my foot came back, and I sat on my bed and cried.
I mean, that's like
I didn't cry, but it hurt.
you probably didn't have the breath. I mean, it's like breath was sticking out of you. I can't believe you kicked yourself in the nuts.
I have done
That's
that.
an accomplishment.
That's
It is.
impressive.
Oh, it is.
It's a fun story to tell people because it's like, I bet you've never done this before.
That was a good one.
I've hit myself in the nuts with like my belt.
Oh, I've done that.
Oh,
Like,
I've done that.
I don't know how that even happens, but it's like sometimes when
I
you're
had
putting
those
it
moments
on.
where like I'm just like playing with something and twirling it, and it just barely, not even full on hit, just barely
Yes,
grazes it, but that
I
hurts
was
worse.
just about to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
There are the times where the littlest little tap, and you think, oh, that wasn't that bad, and then
Yeah.
like
and then you
10
just get
seconds
this
later, you're like,
feeling that you're just like, yeah,
you're gonna throw up.
it just hurts.
Sheer pain.
All
Or
right.
just like
Yeah.
stiffness.
It's your turn.
Mine's actually, it goes back to my childhood. I was on the street right across from Keith. We grew up across from each other. And before we moved, there was some neighbors next to me, Daniel, and another kid from the other street, Chad. We were all playing, and I don't know. I wasn't in my yard. I was in Daniel's yard, and they were in my yard. I don't know why we switched yards. But like we were sitting there just throwing this bottle around. It was like a Snapple bottle or something.
Glass
And
bottle.
yeah, it was a glass bottle.
It was a Budweiser.
And it smacked me in the face. And I mean, I'm just sitting there, and I just was like, oh, that hurt, but it didn't like phase me at all. It just kind of stung a little bit. So I reached over and I picked the bottle back up, and I'm about to throw it, and they're like, got this look on their face, and I'm like, what? What's wrong? And then they're like, dude, you're bleeding.
It's like me
And
and
so-
the paddle. It's
Yeah,
just-
exactly.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it. And so like I put my hand up to my head and I'm like touching it, and then like my entire palm,
Yeah.
except for like all the little like lines, was like covered in blood.
It's like Wilson
It's,
before you touch the ball.
Yes, yes, exactly. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like looking at my palm, and I'm like, my parents are gonna kill me. My parents are gonna kill me. Like I can't tell them the truth. So like I run inside, and like they come running up to the door with me, and I'm knocking, or like I go inside, and they're like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like he was over here by this. We go this stupid lie. Like he was running and he tripped and he fell on the tree, and like so like I hit my head on their tree on the stump, and that was the lie we came
Seems
up
legit.
with. And so they probably don't even remember when I hit my head. But my mom's obviously very
Kids do stupid stuff.
remembers.
very concerned
Yeah.
because I have 2 concussions. And one of them, I don't remember the other time. I wasn't really doing something stupid. I was just too young.
I don't know if I may have had a concussion, but I never went to the doctor, so I don't.
You don't know for sure.
You don't
Yeah.
know for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's been
Medically
times I've hit my
examined.
head really hard and had
Yeah.
I've had
Yep.
was groggy and stuff for
Yeah.
a few hours. It's like I probably did, and I just
But I
Yeah.
was in like I was real little. I was like 3 years old, and I was standing up in a cart, and we were at H&S or HQ or something,
H&S
hardware,
Hardware? Yeah.
but the concrete floor,
Mm-hmm.
and I was leaning over, and they were down the aisle, and my mom hates when I tell this story. She hates it. And I fell out of the cart and like right on my head.
Well, you shouldn't have been leaning
So,
out of the cart.
I know I should have.
That's not her fault.
And so I fell right on my head, and that cracked my skull.
Yeah.
And so they came rushing over to me. Were freaking worried, and of course I'm bawling like a baby because I am a baby.
Yeah.
And I mean that was my first concussion.
Mm.
I don't know when my second one was. I don't know. I don't know about that one.
That was a real concussion because you
but-
forgot.
Yeah, exactly. So. But the first one was just that stupidity of throwing bottles and.
I have a
being
story
dumb
about
as a
it.
kid.
Didn't result in his physical injury that I know of, unless his parents beat him after I left. But I do remember this story of him throwing the stick around up in the air.
Oh yes.
And it came down and hit, those glass orbs that people
Gazing
used to
balls.
put it out like
Yeah.
as lawn ornament. he threw this stick up in the air and it comes down and lands directly on that and it shatters.
Yeah.
And I remember him just like his face went white because he was like, "Crap, I gotta tell my parents."
Yeah, and I remember going in.
And I remember him
was
getting in
worried.
trouble for it.
Did you lie?
No, I couldn't.
I
I
mean,
mean,
yeah.
the evidence was plain.
It's
It
like,
was
how do
Stick
you?
fell off the tree and
no,
hit the.
There's no
there's
tree
no
around
tree
it.
around
no
it.
tree.
I mean,
Yeah.
I was literally, I just threw a stick up
It's
in
like
the
this
air.
wind came and it just blew the stick over here. Like,
It's like
there's a lie.
It's like a
for
mighty
that.
wind just blew the orb
Yeah.
right off.
there is a lie for that.
Well, the funny thing was, I went inside and like I was trying to tell him, or I told my mom, and my mom was up in the kitchen doing something, and Keith was right behind me, and I was real like very like scared. She saw the tear in my face, and she said, she was calm. She just said, "Well, go down and tell your dad. Like, go tell him. He'll take care of it." So I go down and tell my dad, and my dad's doing the laundry, and he looks at me. He's like, "What? What happened?" And like, cause he could see the look on my face.
Yeah.
And I tell him, and he goes, he gets that look, and he's like, "Get up to your room." And like as soon as I turn around, like he swats me on the tail, and like to send me out of the room.
Yeah.
And so like I'm running upstairs. Keith follows behind me, and I'm sitting there. I'm like, I'm gonna be grounded. I'm not gonna be able to do anything. They're gonna like I'm gonna have to work and try to pay it off. Like I was sheer terror.
God, it's a
And
gazing ball.
I know, but I don't know why I thought. And like of course it ended up nothing
Yeah.
bad happened. Like they called me down and they were like, they're like, this is why you don't throw sticks in the air.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like
Don't throw stuff.
yeah, pretty much that
Dummy.
was it. I wasn't grounded or anything, and
Stop
they,
being
they,
a kid.
They knew the sheer terror that I felt was
Yeah.
enough. That was enough.
Yeah.
So fun times, you know.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it, guys. I think that's the wrap of our show. I
Wrap
think we're
up.
done with another fun-filled episode of the
Are
Red Moon
we?
Podcast. What better way to end it than with email?
Where? How?
Well, we don't have any. You just got to email us. So email us at rmPodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
Please, because
It's right
we want to
there.
read one.
It's right there.
what does it say?
rmPodcast@redmoonproductions.com.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
We even have like social media. You can actually check us out
That's
You
true.
can.
on,
You don't have
on
to
all
email
these
us.
different interweb
You can
things.
send us a message on Facebook, leave a comment.
Yeah, check out our Instagram and our Twitter.
It's pretty
and
amazing.
all that. I mean, we have it all.
We have it all.
We do it all.
We do.
We're eventually we're gonna have slow fees. So you just wait.
Slow fees
We're gonna have slow
trademark.
fees.
I don't know if we can officially use that.
Hmm?
I don't know if we can officially use that term because
Yeah, we can. It ain't
Apple's-
trademarked yet.
Well, that's true.
They tried, but
they're
they
trying to
haven't
get
got
the
it.
patent for it. It's ridiculous.
I know
Oh,
it.
Gosh. Oh well. Until next time, guys.
Yeah.
I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
and
Keith Cheatham.
so until next time, we will
See you at the movies.
movies. We got it.
no, we didn't.
Did
No, we
not
didn't.
at all.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.